Hello, everyone. There's a few more people joining. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We were just going through a little bit of housekeeping and we're ready to get started with why does your business need a marketing strategy? So I think I will kick it off. So let's talk about who I am. There's a few people that do know me, but maybe there is a couple out there that don't. I am the owner of the Peppermint Group, and I've owned my small business now for 17 years. Of course, during that time, there is a lot of amazing highs being in your own business, but there is also some unavoidable lows. So I share that with anybody that's sitting as a business owner here today. And that's really the reason why I wanted to do this webinar today. Is my why is I see a lot of businesses out there that spend money on marketing, advertising, and they don't see the desired results that they want. So today is really about sharing my insights onto what I believe you should do before you even start thinking about Facebook ads and Instagram posts. This is the piece before you start any of those tactics, which is what we talk about when we talk about a marketing strategy. So I'd love to share my insights today. Just for the few that have just come in, this is very interactive. So if you did want to ask any questions during our webinar, feel free. I'm open to answering anything or any questions, comments that you might have as we run along. So as I said, sharing my insights and hopefully helping you avoid some of the costly mistakes that I have made over the years being in business for over 17 years. So let's start with my first slide, if I can get that to move. Here we go. Let's start with a quote. Thank you, Alba. I always love quotes because it really positions yourself as what others are saying in the marketplace as well. So marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make or the services you sell. It's about the stories that you tell. And as you know, being on social media, being out in the marketplace, there is so much noise, so much clutter, so much stuff going on, and you have a very limited amount of time with a potential customer. So we really need to think about how we break through that clutter, how we make sure that our message is going to reach the person that we want to be our customer. So this quote here is really saying that facts and figures don't cut it anymore. People don't just want to hear that you are the best in your industry. They want to know more. Think about the brands that you love, your favorite brands, and why you love those brands. And I say that to you because if you think about, say, a particular product, let's say we think about, I don't know, a mascara that we use on a daily basis. So there are about a multitude of mascaras that we use that are out there in the marketplace for us to buy. But why do we buy the one that we buy? Let's call it Christian Dior has a mascara and MCO Beauty has a mascara. One is very status, very luxury, will cost you a lot more. But what is that customer connected to Christian Dior to buy that mascara? Let's look at MCO Beauty. Very cheap in the market, is a supermarket brand. But it still has the same benefits of those two products. So that's what I wanted you to think about when you think about your favorite brands and when you think about your brand as a business. These two brands, MCO Beauty and Christian Dior, tell a story. They tell a story that people want to hear. And when people want to hear that story, they're emotionally connected. So let's think about it. People connect to stories because there is emotional connection behind the story. Stories build trust, which will make your business in the long run memorable. So when I say those things about a product now, you can't just sell stuff, you can't just sell your facts and figures. You need to be selling what it is that is unique to your business and how you are going to tell that story to your audience. So let's continue on. Actually, I'll give you another example before we go on. I had a jewellery client many years ago that had the most exquisite jewellery. So they had a wonderful website with a fabulous catalogue, and all of their beautiful pieces of jewellery were photographed amazingly. But there was a missing piece. What they weren't doing, and when we came in to look at why they weren't driving and getting that traction through, is they didn't have a story. They had beautiful pieces of jewellery, but they didn't talk about things that people connected with, like what are the materials that they use in the jewellery? How do they source the materials? What's the inspiration behind the brand? Tell me a little bit about the designers that actually create the jewellery. So these are what brands, your favourite brands, do to make you want to buy those products. So that gives you another example there. So marketing without a strategy. Let's talk about this. I've got an analogy for you. It's written down so I get it correct. Oh, I've gone too far forward. Let's talk about this as an analogy before I talk about some of the points on this page. So you've got your marketing budget. You have to have some funds to invest on getting those new customers. And your budget, let's talk about it like petrol in a car. So you've got a car filled with petrol and you've just started to drive. So you're driving around and you're shooting out tactics. Now, tactics I talk about are the things we do the channels that we use when we're marketing to new customers. So like the social media, email databases, newsletters, LinkedIn, all of those kind of things. But you're throwing out messages and tactics, all of which we call tactics, right around the place. But you don't know where you're heading. So a strategy piece is where you're heading. It's the plan. Why are we doing what we're doing? Without that, you run out of petrol. So I love that analogy because it shows the piece that, yes, a lot of people are just throwing out content, but they're not considering their audience and they're not considering what they're saying to their audience. So that's where we say why businesses struggle to grow. They waste time and resources on these ineffective tactics. They miss opportunities to reach their ideal customer. Most businesses have a number of different customers. So I'll give you an example of that. You may have a few different customers that are involved in your business. So you might have the general public, so people that are purchasing, or you might have a business to business, we call it, where businesses actually market to other businesses. So you might miss the opportunities to really hone in on why you're going to speak to that customer, the general public, differently to how you would speak business to business. So again, those inconsistent messaging makes it very confusing. Inconsistent messaging and brand identity. It's really important that you create consistency when you're positioning this message in the marketplace. This may feel like you're being repetitive, and a client this week actually commented on that. Oh, we're being too repetitive. We've got to create new blogs. We've got to create new articles. They need to see content. But what I want to step you back is, when I was in advertising land, I call it, over 25 years ago, and we talked about a billboard ad near a freeway, and how they would cost that as a media agency for someone to buy is from how many eyeballs that people see that billboard ad. So if yours is at the airport, on the main drive to the airport, you spend per eyeball on who's going to drive past. They talk about the number of cars, how many cars a day, how many cars a week, and that's how they identify the cost per eyeball. And I bring this up is because repetitiveness is so important. People don't see the repetitiveness of content. What they see is the consistency, and what they see is the familiarity with it, and therefore they feel connected to it. So I want to make that really important point as well, is that marketing is about consistent messages, and you may feel like you're repeating, but new people are seeing things at different times in different ways. Lastly, but not least, measuring results. Unfortunately, marketing is not sit and forget. We always have to continuously drive results, measure how things are working, work back from what doesn't work and change it up. So that's why people use agencies, I suppose, because it gives them the time to sit back and let other people analyze the results. So it's so important to make sure that we change when our audience changes, and that is quite a lot. Here's another quote. I love another quote. People only care about themselves. Ouch. People do only care about themselves and their problems. So if we talk about their problems and tell them what we can to solve them, they are more likely to listen. I feel that every day on social media, don't you? That we pay attention to things that are relevant to us. It's human nature. It's survival of the fittest. We pay attention to things that are relevant to us, that affect us, and things that offer solutions to our challenges we are drawn into. Think about scrolling a wonderful social media. So we're on Instagram, and I was the other day, and I'll show you what happened to me, which is how this statement really is clear. I have a beautiful Labrador. His name's Buddy. I love him to pieces, and I missed him when I've been overseas recently, but he has a hell of a lot of hair. So I'm scrolling Instagram, and as I'm scrolling, there is a person that has a Labrador there and a vacuum. And what they're selling is an attachment for my vacuum to get rid of the hair on him as a comb. I was in that 3 seconds because it was a pain point for me. It was a problem that they solved. I can't even tell you what the brand is because it was a problem that I solved. They were solving for me in 20 seconds, and I bought that machine. Even though I'm in marketing, I bought that attachment because it was going to solve a pain point. So yes, people care about themselves. So anytime you're talking about your messaging, when it comes to your business, really think about what problem you're going to solve for them and why. With a lot of my clients, let's talk about things like a website. With a lot of my clients, they like to have as their main focus. Here we are this business, we are 20 years in business, in the industry, we have all these awards, look at us. People don't care. They don't care that you've been around 20 years. They're not going to choose you over someone else because you've been in a business 20 years and the other business has only been in business 10 years. This is going back to the first quote. You cannot get anywhere with facts and figures about your business. People don't care. What people care about is how my Labrador situation happened. People care if you can show them in 3 seconds how you're going to solve their problem. I'll give you an example of how you communicate this when it comes to the content that you write and the messages that you get out into the marketplace. So you're a freight company and you put up on your website, here I am, Aussie Freight, fastest delivery in the industry. People don't care. People don't care that you're the fastest in the industry. Let's change how we communicate that message. We communicate that message by saying, tired of waiting weeks for your package from Iconic? We want the dress now, don't we? Tired of waiting weeks? We deliver in 24 hours. Okay, I'll go with you, Aussie Freight, because I know I'm going to get the package in 24 hours. Simple change, exactly the same product, exactly the same message, but change so it affects the person emotionally. I want that dress and I want it now. Identify a problem, provide a solution. That's all it is. And that's all you need to think about when you're creating your marketing messages. Okay, it's time for social media. Is marketing just digital marketing? Raise your hand if your marketing plan involves mostly social media. Thanks, Kel. You're not alone on that at all. But social media has changed dramatically over the last 10 years, as everybody's seen. It's not rocket science what I'm telling you in terms of what digital platforms are like. But what they've done is they've changed these platforms from community connecting platforms to advertising platforms. And when you talk about Facebook and Instagram, you're talking about Meta Business. Meta Business are there to make money from you. Meta Business will take your $2,000 a month to run ads in Facebook and Instagram because they show you, that is advertising your product and service on your platform, and they can be really targeted, and therefore, a bit like the billboard idea that I showed you, that they're showing you how many eyeballs and giving you a price for that. So don't be discouraged about when you post on your social media platform that you have very limited engagement, because it's not set up for that anymore. 10 years ago it was. I used to have a business which was a big events company, and we ran quite a large scale event right around the country, and I had to sell tickets to that event. Well, we could turn those likes on our Facebook page to 10,000 likes in 6 to 8 months because it was a community platform. But these days it is more about the advertising, and therefore it's limiting you to how much exposure you get on that platform. So the reason I bring this up is never to say don't post on social media. It is should be part of your marketing plan or marketing strategy. Well, yes, I will talk about that too. Thank you, Al. Thank you for that. It's a great brand awareness tool, but it's never going to get you the volume. And what I say about that is, the reason I say that is a lot of people take a lot of time to make content, to do videos, to do posts, to get the right wording, all of that. But if you have a following of 200 people, you're only going to get to 4 or 5 people because of the amount of times your algorithms and the way that they run it. So you spend all this quality time on creating this wonderful piece. I'm not saying don't do it, because there is space for it there, but you need to see eyeballs on your marketing. So yes, it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the entire piece. One of the comments then was just about influencers and using their platform. That is a brilliant way to connect with people in your audience that another person has in their audience. That's a great way of increasing the eyeballs. So you create a beautiful video and it's amazing, and you post it on your socials, and then you have an influencer that posts it as well. Perfect, because you're raising the amount of eyeballs on it. So yes, that absolutely should be part of it. But all I'm saying in this part is to say you're not alone with people taking a lot more time on making that digital content, but make sure it's not the be all and end all. Make sure it's not all of it thrown all your eggs into one basket. You want to make sure that you have everything out there. What percentage of our budget should we put in digital marketing? That is part of it, yes, but it would be based on the overall budget. Everything I do in terms of my business as a marketing agency would be to run your marketing budget based on your product or service that you're trying to sell. So nothing is just given. I couldn't say to you, you should spend this amount on Facebook, this amount on Google Ads. It's all about how and what type of business you have. I'll give you an example. You're a local hairdresser in Cronulla Beach, which is where my office is. You may not want to spend $10,000 on ads on Facebook because you're a local business. You might spend $300 on an ad with a local Mums of the Shire online connector that connects with your target audience. So that for me is piecing together the budget that you have for your business and working out where the best ways is to take your business to. So think about that when you're putting your budgets together. Are you a localized business? Do you want people within the area to come and work with you? Or are you more of a business to business? Are you like Kelly, who has a HR business and they need to promote to other businesses? So her budget would be better spent more in LinkedIn than on a social platform like Instagram, if the budget was willing. Those kind of things is very bespoke to where your business is. So be everywhere where your customers are. Now, this is what I'm saying about the marketing channels and how we really should have our marketing messages across all platforms. And I talked to you about that clear messaging and that emotional storytelling, where we're really going back to those slides of make your content and make your audience the hero. What are we doing to make sure their lives are better spent? But when I talk about this as well, like what I just said about the marketing budget and how it should be, clarified for your business, you shouldn't be doing all of this in equal parts. You should be doing it because you understand where your audience comes from. You understand where your potential customers are. So it will be very different for different business models. So you might have a marketing message of, like I said, you're a business to business company, and you therefore have got more insight into LinkedIn. You're connecting with other business owners. You're at that networking function, doing your business to business meeting. That is all part of your marketing. The other thing to say about this kind of, in terms of the marketing channels, is you've got your socials. It's part of it, absolutely. You've got your LinkedIn, you've got your Instagram. We've really covered that that's still part of it, but it's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. I can't preface enough that emails are so important when it comes to selling products or services. You have to make sure you consistently collect people's data if and where you can, and of course under the legalities of collecting people's data. But I'll give you an example about emails, which I say a lot, and it's, I'm going to a wedding, and for the past 9 months I've had a similar email, a repetitive email through from a dress designer, and I've deleted it and deleted it every time. I've never unsubscribed because I still love the brand, but I delete and delete until the day I'm going to the wedding, and that's when they send me their offer, and that's when I click on the email. So email for me is so, so important, whether it's business to business or business to customer or business to general public. Having an email database where you can talk and provide content, valuable content. It's not just here's a 20% off offer. It's really building that relationship with your customers. And that's really important. So I'll give you another example is an email database is similar to, collecting people's mobiles. So I've got a hairdressing salon in Janali that I worked with that had all people's mobiles from previous appointments that people have had in a system, and a system they didn't even use. And we sat there one day and she said, oh, I've got a couple of bookings and I'm nearly booked up for Christmas. And I said, well, what about you text all the people that have been past clients and say, it's 2 weeks till Christmas. I've only got 2 or 3 bookings left. First in, first served. I've never thought of that. So there's another way of being able to communicate to clients or customers in a very simple way that already have a connection with you. They've already had a really good service. And if they don't, they'll unsubscribe. And gone are the days where unsubscribe. If people unsubscribe, it's better. We move on. That's just it. If they don't, that is the wrong audience for you, or your messaging's wrong. It's a wrong message for that person. So we go and we move forward. Website, blogs, Google ads are all part of it. And we've really gone through a few of those with some examples that I've had. I want to preface this one with, I find this just as much an email, word of mouth, referrals and partnerships, which again comes to the influencer component that we spoke of earlier as well. Never underestimate the power of a good referral, and never underestimate the power of word of mouth. It is so important, I believe, for every business. So I want to talk to you about word of mouth. I'll give you an example of this one. And I hope that is helping explaining it by giving you examples. So I had a friend of mine got a new kitchen cabinets and new kitchen tops. And the business that had put in the kitchen tops and the cabinets was finishing off his work and came into the customer and presented them with a beautiful cheese board with a little logo in the corner which had their business name on it, and said, "Thank you for your service. We've appreciated doing your kitchen. I hope you enjoy it." Brilliant. A brilliant part of them having this on their kitchen bench now. They'll get it out of their cupboard every time they entertain. It's a small merchandised chopping board or cheese board, but it comes out on occasions where they're entertaining. So that's number one. So there's a customer that's been given something beautiful for thank you for business. Number two, though, is they give them a $500 voucher for one of their friends, to if anyone else decides to come along as a new customer. I love this as well, because I'll give you a reason why I love this. Is because, I mean, it probably cost $5,000 for new cupboards and new kitchen tops. So what he's really giving is a 10% off voucher. But what he's really said is, here's a $500 voucher. Give that to a friend, and I would love to come and quote on their kitchen tops and kitchen benches. So rather than say, here's a 10% offer that really means nothing to people anymore, because you get 10% off this, everything's always on sale. There's never really a time where you feel like you have to pay full price, because you can always get something. He's changed the communication piece, and he said, this is showing that we see you as valuable. So always make sure that you use your current customer base, whether it's through email or through face-to-face, as a way of growing your business and giving them the right messages for that. So then I'll go to the next slide, how to clarify your marketing message. I'll bring this book up to everybody today. I don't know if you can see that in your screen. Mia, who's on the call, probably was the first one that got me in touch with this book. It's about building a story brand. This is so important when I talk about putting your audience as the hero of the business. So get yourself a copy if you ever want to feel like you want to get your marketing messaging right, that then you use throughout your tactics, whether it be email, social media, anything like that. It's a way of really breaking down how you make your audience your hero, how you define the audience's problems, and then guiding them to a solution, which is you. And guiding them to your solution is, you in business have the solution for your audience, then we create a clear call to action. And so if anyone wants the book afterwards, feel free, and I'll put it in the chat as well. And then we end your story with success. So the power of the marketing strategy, it's your roadmap. It's the way you're getting to your real growth in your business. You really need to work on who you are as a business before you even get to your messaging. You need to define your goals. What are your objectives? What's your messaging look like? And who is your ideal customer? You know, when I go back to the mascara idea of Christian Dior and MCO Beauty, I'm saying to you, they're two products that are very, very, very similar, but who are we speaking to in each of those? They're women that wear mascara, but we can't be out in the marketplace just saying that. We have to find, some people call it the niche, we have to find who our ideal customer is, and therefore the messaging will come, because we will be solving that messaging for the customer. Branding, cohesive branding and messaging across all channels. Yes, again, let's talk about that. It does sound repetitive, but think about the billboard again, and think about all the times that people are driving past that billboard. They don't care that they've seen it 100 million times. They're driving past, but the day they think about, oh, what phone am I going to buy? I just saw an Apple phone on that freeway. That comes into play. So don't be afraid of really simplifying your branding and making sure your messaging is really clear. It becomes memorable. It makes them feel connected to the brand. Always do return on investment. Never spend your budget without understanding what you got back with. I know a lot of people do Google ads, which is fantastic. Again, none of these things I'm saying are bad. All I'm saying is it's got to be part of a bigger strategy piece before you start to use all these tactics. Make sure that you have that data behind it to know that it's making a difference to your business. A lot of the times when I work with digital marketing agencies, which are all about the ad space, so there's always agencies that are looking at the ads that they spend. What I want to see is the return on investment for a sale, not a return on investment for a connection. We want to make sure our hard-earned investment in marketing is turning into a sale. If we're going to invest it, we need to know that we're getting connections, and we need to know how many of these have created sales. And this, I hope and know from past experience, is the growth is sustainable. You are not going to get quick wins. If you want quick wins, chuck $2,000 on a Google ad and see what happens. What I want to see is sustainable growth, the building of your business, the building of your marketing across all your channels creates that sustainable growth. So where do you start as a business owner? Well, we connect with our ideal customers. So this is a research piece. This is where you get down and dirty about who you feel like is your target audience, who they are, what their pain points are, and how your business can better their lives. This approach is just as much effective for business to business as it's effective to business to a potential customer. And remember, what I mentioned before is that some businesses have two customer bases. So for example, as well, I'll give you another example of a client I worked with that is a garage door company, and they had residential customers to connect with who they want to go and fix their doors or give them or install a new garage door, or they might have a commercial client it might be a big business that has workshops and big spaces, warehouses, those kind of things. Two very different customers. So when we talk about your audience, we're breaking down your audience to residential customers, commercial customers, or it might be for my new safety client who does first aid courses. He runs courses for individuals, but he also runs safety checks for workplace management. So again, we talk to those people, we talk to those audiences in different ways. So really focusing on and spend the time on who your ideal customer is. Why am I buying MCO Beauty products for $10 mascara? Why am I not buying the $70 one? So really working through why your price point, your product, your service, who that person is that you want to work with. Again, just one more example. I've had a buyer's agent that I'm working with that wants to be the best buyer's agent in Sydney. Well, we've had to work through the fact that, she has great connections and networks within the areas of Sutherland Shire, St George, and Southwest Sydney. So yes, we do in our mindset want to be the best Sydney buyer's agent, but we want to hone into these communities and work out in these localized communities how she can benefit her client base within these areas. And then what kind of people is she targeting? Is she targeting families, or is she targeting baby boomers that want an investment property? You need to find who your ideal customer is. And then what we do is we create that brand story that I've gone through when you're emotionally connected. And finally, don't be afraid to drive action. My pet peeve on any person's website is not being able to find an email. You scroll and scroll, and sometimes they don't even put it in. Yes, they have a contact form, but you want to write them an email. You want to engage with that business. You potentially want to make a purchase. You want to make sure that you give your ideal customer a very clear call to action. Is it, I want to book a call with you next week to talk about your business and how I can help you? Or it might be straight through to purchasing a product. But whatever that call to action is, it has to be clear. It has to be benefit driven, because we go back to why we're in business with that emotional brand storytelling. And we want to we want to guide them through the process. So don't make those things difficult. It needs to be front and center. Here we are. Here's what we stand for. Let's connect you. It could be as simple as you want them on your website, or you're going to give them a newsletter every month, or you're going to do things like that. But we want to make sure that they engage. So don't make it difficult for your potential customers. So we're coming to the end. And I just wanted to show you how we at the Peppermint Group help our clients. And it really is through that journey that I've talked to you about. If you ever need help in that area, this is what we do. We audit your current marketing position. So we audit what you're currently doing through ROI. We understand what your audience is. We evaluate the content that you're running, and we talk about your channels, and we unlock untapped opportunities. So we might find ways in which we can communicate this better for you, and show you the opportunities to expand your reach. So that's always step one when you work with the Peppermint Group. Step two is we create that story we've been talking about. We build a narrative, we speak to your audience, we dive in and talk to you about the challenges, and we do that mapping about who your audience is. Absolutely. And we will definitely give out the slides at the end, no problem at all. And then we define your message. So we make sure we articulate it. We make sure we talk about how we solve your problem. And then what we do is we develop campaigns. So when we talk about a campaign, we're talking about all the wonderful messaging that we're going to do with across the products that we all the products and services that you run. So step one is to audit what you're currently doing. Step two is to make sure that we create for you that customer journey story, or help you to define the customer journey story. And then step three is we help you to execute. So I know that when you're in business, you can't be all hats to everyone, and that's why we're in business. We're in business because we love to help to see businesses thrive. I know, again, reason why I'm doing these types of webinars as well is to make sure people understand that there is help out there, so that you can really understand what you're doing from a marketing point of view. Yes, there is a lot of people out there that can help you build a new website, do those Google ads, run that Facebook content, put up those posts. But what we do is different. We make sure that we give you a plan, and we optimize that plan, and we track it and we analyze it. So that's a different space within lots of the agencies that are out there at the moment. So we want to make sure that anything that you've got in investment, in terms of your marketing spend, we can show the way that that's coming back into your business. And, you know, as I've always said, people don't go into business because they're great marketers, although that's what I fell into, but people go into business because they've got a great skill, they've got a fabulous product, and communicating that product or service is a completely different kettle of fish. So just making sure that, yeah, that's what the Peppermint Group can do as well. So ladies, I don't know if there's any gentlemen there, but ladies, thank you so much for being a part of the Peppermint Group's webinar. I hope I've made some sense in terms of how I've given those kind of, thank you, there was a bit of clapping there, giving you some insight into how I feel like we should be running our marketing plans and our strategies and our budgets, and wanted to thank you. That's just the stages we go through for those. And I wanted to thank you, and if anyone had any other questions, but we will love to send this presentation out to everybody afterwards so that you can have that and digest a little bit more. There's another clap. Thank you very much.